So this video is about the balance, but it's actually about the powerful frequencies that Egypt brings when she weaves her magic with Avalon, which is Glastonbury. These two powerful places are essentially the bones of me. Okay, it's the structure of who I am. I mean, it is basically my balance. So this divine balance here is Egypt is the fire for me, Avalon is the water. Okay, this could be deemed as more of a divine masculine frequency, and this one more divine feminine. Yes, okay, we have a lot of like goddesses and beings here, but the two together, I think this one comes with a lot of fire, a lot of energy, and a lot of intensity, and it's a huge Stargate portal, as is this one, but it comes with the water. It comes with going into the depth of the womb and kind of really coming into that sacred place of stillness to be able to go through a death to be reborn. Now, these two places are very, very powerful in their delivery because they are indeed sacred counterparts. All right. So you're going to connect with these two places and it's going to awaken some wisdom within inside you. It's going to make a lot of sense. Now, before we get into this, I want to just remind you, talking about balance and order and all of those things, the scales, Ma'at, the Egyptian goddess of cosmic truth, law, order, justice, and balance. I am holding a very, very powerful masterclass with her, the Alchemy of Ma'at. And we will be joined by Sekhmet and her fire and Hathor and her waters. And we will essentially be working with the twin flame trine of Ma'at, Sekhmet, and Hathor, and understanding how to work with that alchemy with that. It's a free masterclass, okay? So, and it's going to be encompassing everything that I am teaching here, all to do with the order and balance that you'll be able to bring into your being and apply in your everyday life, okay? This is what this video is going to bring to you as well. So I'll put the link in the write-up here. It's a Zoom room, aka the temple. Come and join us and come and join your community. So moving on now to Egypt and Avalon. So these two places are basically the divine balance of everything that I share. Okay, I'm going to start with Egypt first of all. Like, Egypt is a very, very powerful Stargate portal, and I'm going to bring in the goddess Sekhmet. Now, Sekhmet, as we know, is my signature frequency, and she's like, yeah, I work with her constantly. I'm in divine union with her constantly, and she's the one that's brought most of you here, actually. So she's all of our mother, right? So she's coming through very, very strongly now. So Sekhmet is the goddess of transmutation. She's the lady of the flame. She is this alchemist. You know, she fears nothing. She's just, you know, she's a healer. She's all of the things, right? And she's a very powerful goddess in her own right. She's a dark mother. So now we sidestep now over to Avalon. Now, my signature kind of like, I don't know, my other version. So if I'm in Avalon, I have a Sekhmet in Avalon. Her name is Cerridwen. Cerridwen is actually a Celtic goddess from Wales, and she's very, very powerful. She's like the crone and the maiden, and I became connected with her quite a long time ago, and just bit by bit she started to step in, and then I realized that Cerridwen is actually all about inspiration, transformation, because she works with her cauldron. So, of course, she is doing exactly the same, or assisting me exactly the same as Sekhmet is. So I have these two dark mothers, both working with inspiration and transformation and all of the things. And they have changed my life profoundly. So now when I weave these two goddesses together, and even these places of magic, fire, and water, that's the balance. So once I've weaved these two places together, then what happens is when I connect with Cerridwen and Sekhmet, I find that Sekhmet comes with her cauldron, because it's like a blend of the two goddesses. And that's what will happen when you start to work with these beings. There will be a sort of like bleed through, a oneness that comes in. So don't fight it, because we do want to get away from the textbook teachings of how it should be done out there. So once we can let go of that, and you can let go and let God, as it were, they will come in and they will blend with you exactly how they're meant to be. Because like, we get so caught up in our heads that we're like, well, Sekhmet's in this box over here, and I can't work with Isis because she needs her own box. No, they don't. They don't need that compartmentalization. There's a word for you. You know what I mean? It's like they want to blend. They want to come in as one, because essentially you are the one. You are the vessel. You are the cauldron. So you want to bring all these blends of frequencies, you know, your Thoth energy, your Merlin energy, bring in Cerridwen, bring in Bridget. Do you know what I mean? And just be that beautiful blend of all of the things, but divinely you. That is what we're working towards. So let it happen, right? So why Avalon and Egypt are counterparts. This is on a healing level now, right? So I always find, well, first of all, in my life, I mean, the funny thing is, let me just rewind. I'm actually born down the road from here. So my bones are made of this place, but I haven't been there for such a long time because I live in Africa. So now I'm basically here with Egypt. So I was Egypt everything. Spent my years working here. I still do, still taking groups out there, as you know. And this was my starting point, coming through all the big fire and burning stuff down and working with Sekhmet. And then when it came time to really deep dive into the divine feminine, I gently passed myself over to Avalon. Now, Avalon is an energy on its own. Whoever says they understand Avalon is telling you fibs, because it's the land of mist. It's the land of the labyrinth. You know what I mean? You'll never know. Merlin's always around you, trickster. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's full of magic. It's full of wisdom. And you always think you know, but you don't. And that is the power and the beauteousness of Avalon. So what happens is when you try and figure it out, you can do that all day long. Eventually you surrender, and then you fall into the amniotic fluids of the womb there. And you very much dive deeply into just letting go and surrendering. And that is when the magic happens. Now, we can't just be all divine feminine, and we also can't just be all the fire either. Do you know what I mean? So we need to be that blend of the two. And in my teachings, even though I might not talk about Avalon in that way or directly with Egypt, this is what I'm doing. These are my counterparts. This is who I am. And you might resonate with this structure, because this is the divine masculine I'm sharing with you now. You might resonate with it when you're in your own being, right? Now, another layer I want to bring in now, I'm now calling in Merlin and his dragons, and I'm now calling in Thoth and the Heka dragons. Now, Thoth is very much connected here, because just behind the Sphinx is the Great Pyramids. Just underneath the Great Pyramid of the Sphinx is the halls of Amenti, okay? And there is so much, it's just so much. Thoth is very present here, right? And I have my Heka dragons. I really feel them quite strongly when I'm here as well. Now, sidestep, Merlin, for me, is the god of wisdom as well, or rather, he's more of an ascended master, but I'll put him up there. And he's got his dragons as well. So you will actually find that Merlin and Thoth will come in and blend through you like that as well. But isn't that what happens when we cross-pollinate the gods and goddesses anyway? Isis and Mother Mary. So allow the blend to come in. Labels, labels, labels. Consciousness, 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 got no labels. So allow those blends to happen. So you might find that you might work with Merlin in a certain way, who's now going to help you deepen your connection with Thoth when you go to Egypt. Do you know what I mean? So just let them show you. When I was at this Sphinx here, true story, several years ago, second tour I went to, I was going to say first, second tour I went to, I hadn't ingested anything. I turned up where I'm stood there, no word of a lie. We sat there, we did a cacao ceremony, and then all of a sudden, ayahuasca came in. I've worked with ayahuasca a lot, so yeah, she's in my energy. She came through, and I held on to that tablet, which I'm leaning up against. Everybody else had gone, and I vomited, and I vomited, and I vomited, and ayahuasca came through, and the words she said, "Your first mistake was thinking that I was just of the Peruvian jungle. I am the divine feminine." So let me tell you, when these beings are allowed to show up in other places, that's when the magic happens. That's when you let go and you allow these beings to come through you to unlock these layers of wisdom and understanding, right? So Egypt has got its own magic and its own Heka on its own. It's very, very powerful. But then there's a divine balance that comes when you work with the magic of Avalon. The magic of Avalon is very supernatural. And I mean that in the very oldie world, England kind of sense. Do you know what I mean? It's got a different magic to Egypt, but you'll only know that when you come to these places with me, because I'll show you. So now I just want to give you final story, because this is just an entry system to these powerful places, right? But I remember I denied Avalon for a very long time. You know, yeah, it wasn't even on my radar. And I remember when I first started to hold these tours, I was so burdened with the mission, and I still am to a point, because sometimes it's a lot. You know, trying to get all of our star seeds together and going, come, Batman sign in the sky, and we got to go, we're going to do this. It's a lot. It's a big mission and a big responsibility. And the weight of it gets very, very heavy. And there are times where I also don't mind to say that I struggle with it. I struggle with holding the mission. and, you know, not wanting to fail and making sure I get everybody to the temple on time. It's a lot. So by this time, it got to a really hectic point. And I went to Avalon seeking healing. And I remember I turned up at this garden and I was crying. My eyes like, oh, just like so upset. I couldn't stop crying. And I said to the mothers, it was raining, torrential rain. I sat in the Chalice Well Gardens. Nobody was there. And I said, I can't do this mission anymore. Take it away from me. Give me another job. I'm giving it away now. I'm on my knees. I was miserable. I was like waking up in the middle of the night with anxiety. It was a lot. It was a mess. And I said, you've got to give me a sign, because if I don't get a sign, I don't know what to do. So I left where I was sitting and I walked around the corner to these powerful 2 yew trees, which signify a very powerful portal in this specific garden I'm talking about. And when you step across that, those ley lines, you feel you do end up walking into another world. That's where I always get my messages. That's where I receive my first message to take my groups to Avalon. So I walk to this portal and I look up, there's nobody in the garden. There's a guy dragging a life-size ankh. I'm not lying. He was like Jesus on a cross. He was dragging it across the garden. Now, for a start, you're not allowed to take things like that in there. What is he doing? It's pouring down with rain. There's nobody here. I've just asked for a sign in England, rainy England in Avalon. That dude's dragging like Jesus' cross on his shoulder. The fuck? So anyway, he comes and I'm like, can I take a picture, please? I don't think you realize what this means. Then all of a sudden, this little lady came out who was just foreign, and she'd gone to Egypt 13 times. Light language, she starts speaking. Before I knew it, all of these other minions come out the bushes, and we're all stood there in the tree, and we're doing these ceremonies. I was there for 3 hours. The rain was pouring down. Didn't know these people from a bar of soap. And then just as I kind of like went, okay, well, thank you so much for the message. You actually don't understand what you've just delivered to me today. We were gone. Poof. And that was it. And that was the day, ladies and gentlemen, that Marie decided that she would continue with the mission and she would trust that little bit more in what I'm come here to do. And that is the magic. That's just a little bit of magic of Egypt taking me to Avalon, okay? And then Avalon healing my deep wounds of memory of being a starseed, a soul that's probably failed on loads of missions before, had my head in my hands, and I was in such a powerful place, and I didn't even know it. And then Spirit brought me the ankh on somebody's shoulder. So my point is these 2 places are life-changing. And they're life-changing, especially when you walk with me. So I cannot wait, because next year, we obviously have the Tablets of Light tour. We also have a Sekhmet tour in November, which I haven't released yet, but it's coming. And then, of course, we have the Lionsgate portal from the 5th of August to the 15th of August. Again, details to be released, but I'm just getting too excited. I can't keep it in anymore. So I'm now going to be finally sharing this divine magic and wisdom. And the whole purpose of it is weaving Egypt with Avalon. Who's with me? I'm so excited. Anyway, thank you for receiving this video of balance. And there'll be more videos to come. I'll speak more about Cerridwen. I'll speak about more magic of Avalon, so you can get to know that place as well as Egypt. Peace.